This vintage lens has quickly become one of my new favorites, and chances are you've never heard of it. It's the Vivitar 24mm f2. It has this crazy warped bokeh that stretches and distorts in a truly unique way. So in this video we'll explore its creative uses, pros and cons, and crucial things to watch out for if you're thinking of picking one up. Vivitar was known for producing a wide range of affordable yet high-quality third-party lenses in the 70s and 80s, and they were designed to offer photographers a fast, wide-angle option that could deliver impressive performance at a fraction of the cost of camera manufacturers' own lenses. And if you remember my review of the Vivitar 28mm f2.5, you'll know how much I appreciate unique characteristics these lenses bring to modern cameras. Recently, I received a comment on that video recommending the Vivitar 24mm f2, and when I saw this comment, I just knew I had to buy one. So after a few weeks, I received mine in the mail, and I was pleasantly surprised by the condition of my copy. The previous owner clearly took great care of it. It's remarkable clean for its age. The overall build is solid, it's small, light, and boasts a full metal body that gives it a durable feel, which is something I really value in vintage lenses. This lens features a 180-degree focus throw that gives you precise control, which makes it a great option for both photo and video. Although it does not have a rubberized focus ring, so it does make it just a little bit challenging to pull focus. This lens comes in several different mounts. My particular copy is the Minolta MD mount, which actually matches my Vivitar 28mm. So using a simple MD to L adapter, I was able to mount it seamlessly onto my Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K. And with this combination of vintage lens character and modern digital sensors, I think you can agree produces stunning results. The unique thing about this lens is it's both wide angle and fast maximum aperture. The 24mm focal length is one of my favorites, especially on a full frame camera, but even on APS-C or Super 35, it gives you a 35 equivalent field of view, which makes it a versatile choice across different camera platforms. Most vintage lenses at this focal length have a maximum aperture of f2.8. So the f2 on this lens allows us to get one more stop of light, which will help improve in low light situations, as well as give you a little bit more background separation. And yes, you can get a shallow depth of field with this lens, especially at minimum focus. When you set this lens to its minimum focus distance, you can really see the character of this lens even more exaggerated. This stretched bokeh is nothing like I've seen before. It's as if the edges of the frame are being pulled into the center, and it's one of my favorite looks in a lens. I call it warp bokeh, and I immediately started thinking of creative ways to use this lens. For example, using this lens in a close-up of your main character can make the viewer feel like they're reading the character's thoughts. It creates this isolation from the outside world and provides an intimate connection with the main character. Even in non-narrative application, it still gives a unique look that guides your eye into the center of the frame. That makes me excited to put this lens into use on more creative projects, specifically for this effect. Now I want to share some tests to truly give you an idea of the image characteristics of this lens, but first I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Audiio. Audiio offers high-quality music and sound effects from thousands of real artists covering a variety of genres. And what sets them apart for me are their powerful search tools that will help you find the perfect track for your project. One of my favorite tools is the Link Match AI, where I simply paste a link from a song I love, and Audiio suggests a similar track that fits my project's vibe. Their new stems feature is another handy tool that allows me to download individual elements of a song, giving me full flexibility to customize the music how I see fit. Audiio covers all platforms and projects from YouTube to television, plus once I download an asset, it's mine to use and keep forever, even if I decide to not renew my subscription. So if you're looking to step up your videos with great music and sound effects, Audiio is offering a big discount on their Audiio Pro subscription for my viewers. Just use the code NatesFilms70 to get 70% off at checkout. Thanks again to Audiio for sponsoring this video and supporting creators like myself. Wide open at f2, this lens is soft and there is some blooming in the highlights, and this is to be expected on older, fast wide-angle lenses. You can also see in the corners that there is softness and vignetting, but personally I don't mind these artifacts, and oftentimes I'm adding a vignette in color grading, so this kind of saves me a step. Stopping down to f2.8 clears up that softness and increase some contrast. And by f4 it's quite sharp across the frame. I think this is nice as it allows you to dial in the look if you want to lessen the intensity. In terms of distortion, we can see that this lens does exhibit some barrel distortion, but again, I think it just adds to the character. The lens flares are also quite unique with these wild funky patterns that give it a unique look. As fun as this lens is, I do want to touch on a couple of cons of this lens. Like I mentioned before, I did find it difficult to pull focus smoothly. This is partly due to the fact that the focus ring does not give you much of a grip, so it may be worth grabbing a focus gear ring to put on this to allow you to achieve focus more easily. Secondly, the front element rotates as you focus the lens, which honestly doesn't sound like a big deal at first, but if you use polarizers or variable ND filters, the polarizing effect will adjust as you focus, which will effectively ruin your shot. In order to remedy this, I recommend using a solid or fixed ND filter, as it's not relying on polarizers to make the image darker. You can also use a matte box or perhaps a ND adapter, and that will help you dial in your exposure settings. Now, if you are considering buying this lens, here are a few things you want to keep in mind. First, these lenses are old, so you want to check the condition carefully. Make sure it's clean, make sure that the aperture blades aren't sticking. And when you are shopping for a lens, keep in mind that not all these lenses were made equally. Vivitar lenses were made by various manufacturers, so I highly recommend looking for the serial numbers that begin with 22. This indicates that it was made by Kino Precision, which were known for producing more high quality versions of this lens. In terms of pricing, these lenses aren't very common on the used market, so getting your hands on one might be a bit challenging. I was fortunate enough to find mine on eBay for $155, which, to be completely honest, is the most I've ever spent on a vintage lens, but considering its condition, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Overall, the Vivitar 24mm f2 is a unique and fascinating lens that can add a lot of characters to your photos and videos. Despite its practical issues, its creative potential and distinctive look make it a worthwhile addition for any vintage lens collection. Let me know what you think about this lens in the comments down below, and if you have any other vintage lenses you'd like me to review, I'd love to hear your suggestions. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out another one right here. Peace.